manifest in my heart. For that, for what is the use of me of any other boon besides this?
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Amiga Prabhuji, would you like to read the next one?
Yes, Prabhuji. O Lord, your lotus face, which is encircled by locks of soft black hair, tinged with red, is kissed again and again by Mother Yashoda, and your lips are reddish like the bimba fruit. May this beautiful vision of your lotus face be ever manifest in my heart. Thousands and thousands of other benedictions are of no use to me.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Jagan Prabhu, would you want to read this? Hare Krishna. Jagan Mohan Prabhu, would you want to read this?
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Yes,
Go ahead.
Prabhuji.
Go ahead, Prabhuji.
O Supreme Godhead, I offer my obeisance unto you. O Damodara, O Ananta, O Vishnu, O Master, O my Lord, be pleased upon me by showering your glance of mercy upon me. Deliver this poor ignorant fool who is immersed in an ocean of worldly sorrows and become visible to my eyes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Vrindavan Das Prabhu, if you're comfortable. Yeah, Ajay Prabhu, yeah. Please go ahead. Okay, I think maybe it could be. Yeah. Sorry, we can't hear you well, Prabhu. Okay, no problem, Prabhu. I think maybe you must be having some issues out there, right? Okay. Okay, let me just read that. I couldn't hear Ajay Prabhu, but let me just read the last two ones. I think, Oh Lord Damodara, just as the two sons of Kuvera, Manigriva and Alakuvera were delivered from the curse of Narada and made into great devotees by you in your form as a baby tied with a rope, to the wooden grinding mortar, in the same way, please give to me your own prema bhakti. I only long for this and I have no desire for any kind of liberation. O Lord Damodara, I first of all offer my obeisances to the brilliantly effulgent robe which binds your belly. I then offer my obeisances to your belly, which is the abode of the entire universe. I humbly bow down to your most beloved Srimati Radharani and offer all obeisances to the Supreme Lord who displays unlimited pastimes. Yashoda Mata ki Jai, Damodara Bhagwan ki Jai.
Jai.
It is
Jai,
so
Hare
wonderful. This is the last because tomorrow,
Hare
the end of Damodara month. Right, Prabhuji? Vrindavan Prabhuji, from tomorrow is the last day of Kartik, for this
Ki
month of
joy.
Kartik.
Ki joy.
Jai. So it is very beautiful because the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, it starts with Hare. Hare refers to Radharani because one of the name of Radharani is Hara. And when we say in a mantra form, we say is Hare. And first, we always worship Radharani. Hare refers to Radharani, and then we worship Krishna. Similarly, in terms of the months, the first month is the Kartik month, which is another name of Radharani is Kartika. So first we have Kartik, month of Kartik, which is ending by tomorrow. And again, that is followed by Margashisha month. And we all remember Bhagavan Sri Krishna is telling in Bhagavad Gita, Mashana Margashishoham. Of all the months in the calendar, I am the month of Margashisha, which comes in the month of November and December. So it is so apt, just like the Hare Krishna Mahamantra starts with Radharani and continues with Krishna. Similarly, even this beautiful months also starts with Kartik month and followed by the Margashisha. So it is so beautiful. And this is one of the most joyful times. I still remember like few years back when I first heard Damodar Astikam, and it was so joyful just listening to everybody singing this one, lighting candles and all that. It really attracted me so much. I was just praying that I was just thinking, will I ever be able to sing this song? Will I ever be able to play this song? But interestingly, Krishna always fulfills our desire. And this year, I had the fortune of playing Damodarastakam in Manor, as well as I had the fortune of playing Damodarastakam in Soho Temple as well. So I'm just taking this as great memories. And the significance, the very small significance, like I was mentioning, Bhagavan Sri Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Neha Vikramanasosti Pratyavayona Vidyate Swalpam Abhyasya Dharmasya Trayate Mahato Bhavat. Krishna says, even if you do a small endeavor for me, even if you do a little bit of endeavor, Krishna says that will protect you from the greatest dangers of fears that you have in your life. Because anything that's small that is, if you do for Krishna, Krishna reciprocates and gives us all the protection. So it is very significant because in this month of Kartik, everybody is lighting a candle for Krishna and just offering 4 times to the lotus feet of Krishna, and then 2 times to the waist, and 3 times to the face, and 7 times together. And it is such a beautiful significance because, as Krishna says, Neha Bikramanasu, a small endeavor. So in this month of Kartik, a small endeavor of lighting a candle. So when we do that for Krishna, it is so significant because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Teshamevadukam partam aham ajnanayam tamaha nasayav bhavosti jnanadipena bhashvata. So Krishna is saying, so for the people, for the devotees who love Krishna, who are doing any endeavor for Krishna, Krishna says to show them special mercy, I sitting in the heart, in their heart, with a shining lamp of knowledge, will destroy all the ignorance, which is all the darkness which is born of ignorance. Just like when you enter into a dark room and you open a candle, everything lights up. Similarly, Bhagavan Sri Krishna is saying, when you light a small candle for me, I am going to reciprocate the love that you're showing to me by removing all the darkness in your life, which is born of ignorance, and I've been out of mercy for his devotee. So we can see that whatever we are doing, a little endeavor, Krishna is, it is not just a ritual that we are just lighting a candle for Krishna, but it is something very spiritual. It's not ritual, but spiritual, that when we are doing something, Krishna is constantly reciprocating our feelings by lighting that candle in our heart and removing all the ignorance, all the darkness which is born of ignorance. It is not that we do not lack anything in our life. What we lack is to have the wisdom, and what we have is the ignorance. So if this ignorance is dispelled, then we'll be able to see ourselves clearly. When we chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Cheto Darpana Marjana will happen, so we can see ourselves very clearly. So this is Krishna's mercy, and this beautiful prayer by Satyavrata Muni, the Damodarasam, which has been written by Satyavrata Muni, is such a beautiful poem where we're talking about the highest bhakti. In today's world, everybody is judging God by what we can get from God. Okay, if some God, we feel like, okay, I prayed to him, he's giving me something, then we'll get immediately attracted. But here in Krishna consciousness, this is the highest level of bhakti, where even in this Damodarastakam, you can see how beautifully the narration is saying, Varam Deva Moksham Na Moksham. So we are saying that we do not want even liberation. We do not want mukti. We do not want a place in Vaikuntha. We do not want anything. We just want this beautiful face of Damodara to be within our heart. And what is the use of to be on this? So this is the highest level of bhakti. Tesham Jnani Nitya Yukta Eka Bhaktir Vishishyate Priyohi Jnanino Chartam Aham Sacha Mama Priya. Where Bhagavan Sri Krishna is saying, 4 devotees come to me, 4 type of pious people come to me. People who want wealth, people who want to get rid of material problems, and people who are very inquisitive. And the 4th person is a devotee who has come out of pure love for Krishna. And Krishna is saying, out of these 4 kind of pious people, a person who has come for me, who's lighting a candle because he loves Krishna, who's doing every small endeavor for Krishna because he loves Krishna. For such kind of a devotee, Krishna is saying, for that kind of a person, devotee, I am very dear to him and he is very dear to me. So I just wanted to just reflect on this beautiful Damodarastakam, which makes me so happy to share that today on this. And I know tomorrow is the last day, so from next week onwards, we may not be having this. And I'm not sure how visible from the thing, but you can see how beautiful Damodara and Mother Yashoda over here. It's such a beautiful deity over here, and you can't see, love just pours, isn't it? And you can see how Krishna is there. And the reason why we call Krishna is Damodara is because Dama means rope, Uddara means waist, and because the rope was tied around the waist of Krishna, Krishna was called as Damodara. And such a beautiful meaning, isn't it? How Krishna is given so many different names. And I thought, like, this beautiful deity is so, because Krishna from again and again, he's constantly attracting all the divines, all the souls on this planet, but with the leelas. That's why we say before every time when we chant this Hare, before we do the Krishna Katha, we recite this chapter, this particular sloka from Bhagavad Gita. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti takataha chakradeham punarjanma naiti mamiti sorijana. Where Krishna is saying, one who's listening to Krishna Katha, one who's listening to the divine leelas of Krishna, they are so auspicious that towards the end of our life, all our papa, all the account is totally going to get zero, all our karmas, which Krishna is saying towards the end of Bhagavad Gita, and towards the end of the life, Krishna is saying those devotees who are always listening to Krishna Katha and who understand that these are the divine leelas, towards the end of life, they don't come back here, but they will directly to go to Krishna Loka. So this is Krishna's benediction. So people in this material world who think, what do we get by listening to Krishna Katha is so purifying. It destroys all the sins that we have, and it will take us, because all of us are looking for satisfaction in our life. All of us are looking for bliss in our life, right? Everybody wants happiness. That's the reason why they get into all material desires, wants to enjoy everything in the world, because of they want bliss and happiness. But Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that where the real happiness and satisfaction comes from. Machchitta madgata pranam bodhayante parasparam katayanchasya mam nityam tusyanti cha ramanti cha. What is Bhagavan Sri Krishna saying? The thoughts of my devotees always dwell in me, which means the devotees, like all our aspiring devotees, our senior devotees who are here, we're always thinking of Krishna back of your mind. What seva can I do this weekend? How can I sing this song? Can I learn some new bhajan? We're always, so Krishna is telling the nature of his devotees, Krishna devotees, that we are always thinking of Krishna, how to serve Krishna. And Krishna says they get great satisfaction and bliss by always enlightening each other about Krishna. So this is what gives us the real satisfaction and bliss. Krishna himself is saying that when devotees get great bliss and satisfaction by always enlightening each other about Krishna, about Krishna's divine leelas, which we are going to cover now. This is another beautiful action-packed Krishna's, our Krishna consciousness is never static. It's very dynamic. The stories are dynamic. Krishna's actions are dynamic. And the devotees are also constantly looking at how to serve Krishna in so many different ways. So it is not a static moment. It's a very, very action-packed, dynamic moment. So on that note, with all your permission, we will dive into the Krishna book. And I hope that's fine with everyone. There's somebody who is, Jagan Prabhu has given lamps. That's wonderful. Thank you, Prabhuji. So yeah, with your permission, I'm just going to dive into this. So let me do this. So a quick invocation of prayer. Hey Krishna Karna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Saptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshware Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Om Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachari Nirvisesha Sunyavara Pashata Deshta Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So we are in this chapter. Just a quick recap and just dive into the action where we left off last week. So this was chapter 54, which we were covering. Krishna defeats all the princes and takes Rukmini home to Dwaraka. So many times during our childhood, we heard about this, very, very vaguely we heard about the story that Krishna has taken Rukmini and things like that. But we never knew more than that. But we are so fortunate, but Prabhupada has given us this Krishna book, which gives us elaborately the complete description of all these leelas. And that's why, as I mentioned, Krishna, anything that Krishna does, we have to understand it's on a spiritual platform, not on a material platform. That's why we call Janma Karma Cha Me Divyam. Krishna's birth, Krishna's action, Krishna's childhood, Krishna's whether he's on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, everything is Divyam, which means spiritual, transcendental, not to be understood in Mikla. So here we have seen that Krishna has gone to this place called Kundini. That's a place where Rukmini was, they have arranged for Rukmini to get married to Shishupal. And we see that how Krishna Rukmini has sent a message to Krishna, and Krishna, the Brahmin, has come and given this message to Krishna, and Krishna has accepted this invite from Rukmini, and he's now taken the Brahmin and gone to Kundini. And then the Brahmin, when Rukmini sees the Brahmin, she's quietly relieved. And after that, we've seen that in the middle of all the princes that are there, Krishna goes and takes Rukmini on his chariot, and he still starts leaving for Dwaraka. And we've seen that how Sushipal and all of them, they were chasing them. And it is so interesting because all the bad boys are together here. We find that Jarasandha was already defeated by Krishna 17 times, but still he has not learned his lesson, that he's coming again and joining hands with Sushipal, and now trying to, all the demoniac people have come together. Now Sushipal, Rukmi, and Jarasandha and all of them came together, and now they want to chase Krishna, and they want to fight with Krishna, and not to forget, Krishna is this time with Balaram as well. So Balaram, having known that Krishna has gone to Kundini, he has also took his entire army and gone over there to join with Krishna. And as we all know, who is Balaram? Balaram is an expansion of Krishna. Right on the left-hand side, Krishna is expands as Radharani. On the right-hand side, it expands as Balaram. So it is another beautiful expansion of Krishna. So here we see that Jarasandha was very angry, and we see that how he was chasing, but there were no match at all for the Yadu army. So Krishna was so coolly, he was just going on the chariot, and all this army were just going with him. And as the army of Jarasandha and they were falling, so the Yadu soldiers, they turned back and they fought against this army, and they defeated most of them. And the people of Jarasandha and Sushipal, they understood that it's a losing battle. So Sushipal also, having seen that, Jarasandha goes back, saying, because he doesn't want to lose his army anymore. He knows that it's like they're just fighting a losing battle, so they just go back. And Sushipal also, he completely gets demoralized, because he knows that he's no way matched for Krishna and Rukmini, Krishna and Balaram. And Rukmini is so thankful to Krishna. She's looking at Krishna and thinking like, how grateful I am, because till now Rukmini only heard about Krishna, how great Krishna is, but she's seeing that live in action, because now Krishna has come and taken this big risk, that in front of all the princes who are assembled over there in Kundini, he's just taking Rukmini and just going away. And now he's being chased by all these different armies who came together. And Rukmini was feeling bad. And Krishna is pacifying her. Don't worry at all. The Yadu army is going to defeat the people of Jarasandha. And the reason, and another thing is, at every step of Krishna Katha, there's so many pearls of wisdom, pearls of knowledge, and pearls of realization that we have. For example, even though there were mighty princes who are actually chasing Krishna and Balaram, we have to keep in mind that anybody who's serving Krishna in the form of soldiers, in the form of army, in the form of horses, elephants, and all that, they are serving Krishna. So when they are serving Krishna, Krishna empowers them. Krishna will give them all the strength to fight the battles. And this is a beautiful lesson for all of us, that when we are on our own, we could be facing so many challenges in our life, but when we do everything for the pleasure of Krishna, when we take any risk for Krishna, because in this month of December, a lot of devotees take the risk going in this cold weather for book distribution and things like that. So when they do that as a risk, doing it as risking for Krishna, Krishna empowers them, gives them all kind of a protection, making sure that they're not going to have a losing battle. So similarly, here even the soldiers who are fighting on behalf of Krishna, they are going to be victorious because they are being empowered by Krishna. So we can see that even though Rukmini was feeling very bad, but Krishna has already empowered all of them. And we can see that within a very short time, they kind of like defeated a lot of these soldiers, and they went back. And now that even Sushipal has gone back, and his friends are pacifying him, telling him, Sushipal, don't worry about that. All these things are very temporary and things like that. And now having done that, now Sushipal also gave up and he went back to his kingdom, like as if he lost his wife. But you can see that here he was not able to even win Rukmini's hand. And Rukmini was not interested anyways in Sushipal at all, because she is made up of to marry Krishna. So now when they go back to Kundini, we find that Rukmi, who's a brother of Rukmini, he's now very, very angry, because he's like, how come a Yadav, a cowherd boy, a cowherd man, how can he take away my sister? Because we had to keep in mind that at that time were all Kshatriyas. Like Kshatriyas have that kind of a ego, Kshatriya kind of a spirit. How can it happen? And then he was telling all those people who come back, saying that you guys have just come back. You could not even go and defeat Krishna, but now I'm going to chase him. I'm going to chase him all the way to Dwaraka, and I'm not going to come back if I don't defeat Krishna. And he goes and chases Krishna, and then Krishna, now he's telling Krishna, come and fight with me. And when Krishna is taken, Krishna so simply, he turns back, he shoots his arrow, and it goes and hits the bowstring of Rukmi, and his bow breaks up. And again, he tries to take another bow, and then again, Krishna breaks the bowstring as well. So he was no match for Krishna. And then he starts taking his sword and comes against Krishna. And so Krishna so easily tackles him. He's no way he's a match for Krishna, right? And finally, Krishna takes his sharp sword and is about to kill Rukmi, who's actually a brother of Rukmini. And now the emotions start pouring in, because Rukmini, at the end of the day, Rukmini is his sister. So obviously she falls on the feet of Krishna and so pleading with Krishna, saying that, please, you are the Yogeshwara. So here you can see Rukmini is addressing Krishna in so many beautiful ways. Yogeshwara, because remember in Bhagavad Gita towards the end, how Sanjay addresses, he says, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna Yatra Pardo Dhanurdhara. Whereas Yogeshwara means he's the master of all the yogis. He's the master, he's possessed of inconceivable opulence and energy. So that's the way of addressing as Yogeshwara. And Krishna and Rukmini is nicely, and it's very important to understand, because even when Arjuna is addressing, sometimes he addresses him as Madhusudana, sometimes he addresses as Rishikesha. So depending on the context, Krishna is always being addressed with a different name. Like this month, we call Krishna as Damodara, because he killed Madhu, he called as Madhusudana. So like that, here in this context, because this is the time when Rukmini wants to kind of like imply that Krishna is Yogeshwara, whereas his brother is just an ordinary person, like he's nowhere in a match. So Krishna want to be addressing Krishna in that way as Yogeshwara or Devadi Deva, God of all the gods. Krishna is called as Jagatpati as well as God, Jagatpati or God of all the gods, even though there could be Lord Brahma and Shiva and Chandra and Varuna. And if you remember in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna shows in his universal form all the devatas. He shows Brahma, he shows Shiva, he shows Indra, Chandra, all the gods. They are there within this universal form. And then Arjuna could understand that all of them are within this universal form, even though it's a temporary manifestation. But Krishna wanted to give this message that everything is within Krishna. So here Rukmini is kind of like making an address, and she's addressing Krishna as Mahabhuja. One means one with unlimited strength as well. So here, he's nicely addressed like that, and Krishna he could understand the feeling of Krishna. So he finally excuses her, but at the same time, he wants to give some light punishment. So he tied with a piece of cloth, and he kind of like cut off his mustache, his beard, and things like that. And at the end of the day, Krishna has an elder brother called Balaram, right? Balaram also has a role to play as a role of a brother. So here he's kind of like telling Krishna as well, at the end of the day, Rukmini is going to get married to Krishna, which means that she's going to be a sister-in-law for Balaram, right? So he's kind of like, so they have a relationship here. So Rukmi also, even though Krishna has pardoned Rukmi, and Rukmi here, there's automatically a relationship that's built up out here. So Balaram is telling Krishna, is chastising Krishna. Krishna, your action is not at all satisfactory. This is an abomination, very much contrary to the family tradition, because Rukmini is going to be a family member, So obviously, her brother is going to be part of the family. So he's saying this is not right. Actually, this is contrary to the traditions. And you cut off his hair and shave the mustache and beard, like as I said, for the Kshatriya. So something like this, cutting off mustache and beard and all that, is something like very, 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 something which they can't take it. So if you're kind of like, so he's saying, and then at the same time, Balaram taking the role of an elder brother, he's pacifying Rukmini as well, that, your brother has been made into odd looking, everyone suffers. And like as I was saying, there are so many beautiful realizations that keep coming on from this Krishna Katha. One of the things is like that anything that happens is because we are suffering a consequence of any action that we have done in the past. So in Krishna consciousness, we always have to understand that if we are suffering something in our life, it's because we have done something. So this kind of a realization makes us take responsibility that, I would have done something. That's the reason why I'm suffering this. So if I'm suffering because of this, then I have to take the right remedy for doing that. How do I counteract these things which have happened because of my past action? So I have to do something now which can nullify out the action. And the best way to overcome this karmic reaction is to take to Krishna consciousness. Because Krishna himself saying towards the Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Dharman Parichajya Mam Ekam Saranam Vraja Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Mokshayisyami Masuchaha. So irrespectively, like how Balaram is saying here, Lord Balaram is saying here that that everyone suffers or enjoys the results of his actions. So even though we have so many different kind of karmas like prarabdha karma and all these things which are because due to which we have done something in our past lives that we are suffering now, even though all this is happening, there's one supreme Lord, Bhagavan Sri Krishna, who can cancel all our accounts, all our balance. He can cancel everything, which is what he was trying to say. Sarvadharman Parichajya Mamekam Saranam Vraja. So if you take to the surrender to Krishna, Krishna has the authority to cancel all your bad karma or anything that has happened. So Krishna, again, Balaram turns towards Krishna and says, my dear Krishna, a relative, even though he commits such a blunder and deserves to be killed, should be excused. So here you can see like the Vedic culture in those days, that when somebody is becoming a part of it, becoming a relative of that, then we'll have to show some compassion towards them and, just excuse them, because because if you excuse people, like, if you sometimes when somebody's trying to be nasty with us, but in spite of that, if we try to be nice to them and just move on from there, at some point of time when they'll look back and reflect and they'll think, what, that person was so nice to me and I still treated him so badly. Somewhere the consciousness will prick them, because maybe today they don't realize it, but tomorrow when they have a bad experience, then they will realize, like, I really feel bad because what? I shouldn't have behaved like that with somebody. So many times we have this reflection, isn't it? It's not that devotees means like we have not done any mistake. Even devotees, we make mistakes sometimes and we regret them, and that's what life is all about. We reflect, we contemplate, we correct our mistakes, and we can always ask for pardon and just move on. And so now Balaram again turned towards Rukmini and informed her the current duty of Kshatriya is so fixed that according to the principle, one's own brother becomes an enemy. And that's what happens, isn't it? So if you take all the yugas, in Satya Yuga, I believe all the good people and the bad people, they were in a different planet. And then we had this Treta Yuga again, right? Again, two different, again, and the same planet. And again, we have Dwapara Yuga, where you have the good and the bad. We are all related. We have the Kauravas on one side and the Pandavas on one side, And then now in Kali Yuga, both good and bad is in the same person itself. So as the yogas went on, it got degenerated, right, in terms of the values and principles and all that. But here, so Balram is talking about how in the Kshatriya Dharma, because it's not about whether somebody is a relative or not, but it's all about fighting for your Dharma, right? Because that's what Mahabharata is all about, where Krishna is telling Arjuna, right? Arjuna, yeah, I know that they are your grandfather and all that, but at the end of the day, you are a Kshatriya. You have to do your Kshatriya Dharma. You have to rise up to your Dharma. That's what the whole Bhagavad Gita is all about, that. But you have to do your Dharma. Then a Kshatriya does not hesitate to kill his own brother because he's doing his Dharma. That's what is very, very important. And because Krishna says these four societies have been created by Krishna. Chaturvanyam Maya system, Guna Karma Vibhagasha. According to your gunas, all these four divisions of the human society, Kshatriyas, Brahmins, Vaishyas, and Sudras, they've been created by Krishna himself, the four divisions. But they're based on gunas, not by birth by birth. So kind of Balram is trying to explain to that, then when there is a fight between two Kshatriyas, and because the four reasons why normally happen, either it's because of kingdom, the fight, because of women, or because of prestige or power. You all seen from history, right? Here you have this Trojan horse, and so many different, in the ancient times, people fought for so many different reasons. So Balaram is instructing Rukmini that her affections towards her brother Rukmini, who has created enmity with so many persons, was a perverse consideration befitting an ordinary materialistic. Her brother's character was not at all admirable, considering his treatment of his friends, and yet Rukmini was an ordinary, was affectionate. He was not fit to be her brother, and still Rukmini was lenient to him. So it happens, isn't it? Because even though Rukmini may not be the best of the character, but in the same family, I'm sure like all of you can relate to that. We have siblings, and all the 4 siblings are not the same. Like one sibling is like this, one short-tempered, one sibling is very affectionate, one sibling is very soft-spoken. So like that, in a family also it happens, isn't it? So here, Lord Balaram is trying to imply that even though Rukmini was not supposed to be a person with a proper character, but Rukmini was someone who has a lot of, a sisterly feeling. So he was trying to be really lenient, even though he's not fit to be a brother. And besides this, Balaram continued, the consideration that a person is neutral or a friend is generally made by persons in the bodily concept of life. Such foolish persons are bewildered by the illusionary energy of the Supreme Lord. And this is the case, isn't it? We see in the world that we are trying to live in, there are so many camps. Either you are in this camp or you are in that camp. Either if you don't support them, then you become your enemy and things like that, right? But on the spiritual platform, as Krishna consciousness person, how does he relate to? So, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne, Brahmane Gavihastine, Sune Chaiva Sa Pakecha, Pandita Samadarshinaha, where Krishna consciousness person does not look at people from a bodily platform. He looks at everyone as an extension or a part and parcel of the Supreme Bhagwan, right? Because Bhagwan Sri Krishna himself says, right? Mamai Vamsa Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. All of you Jivatmas, you have forgotten, but you are actually part and parcel of me. You are forgotten because you are covered by these 3 gunas. So, which is what Balaram is trying to imply. The spirit soul is of the same pure quality as embodiment. Just like if you take a small handful of water from a sea, it is just like the same sea water, isn't it? It's just like a small part of the sea water. Similarly, and Krishna is Vibhu and we are Anu. We are limited. Krishna is unlimited. So, which is what we are seeing. And such differences are mainly from a bodily point of view. In this way, Balaram reconciled the situation with this moral and ethical instruction to Rukmini and Krishna. To Rukmini, he further stated, the body is part of the material manifestation consciousness of it. We all know, right? The body is made of these panchabhutas and things like that. And there is constant interaction between these gunas and the material elements in the body. But the living entity or spirit soul being in contact with this is transmigrating from one body to another due to the illusionary enjoyment, and that transmigration is known as material existence. So how does this transmigration happen? Bhagwan Sri Krishna explains that in Bhagavad Gita, right? Shariram yad avapnoti yad chape utramati swaraha grihatvaitena samyati vayur gandhan nivashayet. Bhagavan Sri Krishna says the living entity of Jivatma is carrying different conceptions of life from one body to another body, as the air carries aroma from one place to another place. Just like, when you're standing close to a rose garden, you can feel the smell of the rose, because it is not the roses that have come to me, it is the air that is being passed on from the rose garden has come to you, and you're able to smell that. So similarly, we all have a gross body, we have a subtle body. So what happens, this subtle body carries the different concepts. So whatever we have experienced about, when you say subtle body, you're talking about false ego, you're talking about intelligence, so these kind of things, whatever we acquired in our life, they get transmigrated to the subtle body carries the different conceptions from one body to another. That's the reason why, these days you've seen one small boy called Bhagavat at such a very young age in India. And he's like speaking about Krishna consciousness. He talks about Bhagavad Gita, a small child, and he's reciting from Bhagavad Gita. So where is all this coming from? How come a small child is able to recite so much? Because all this is getting transmigrated via this subtle body from one life to another life. And this is exactly what is happening in all our lives. The very fact that we are able to practice Krishna consciousness, or we are trying to aspire to practice Krishna consciousness, because we have made some attempt, we have tried to do this in our previous life. And that is why we are continuing from where we left off from our previous life. Bahunam janmanam ante jnanaman mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha. Bhagavan Sri Krishna is telling us in Bhagavad Gita how rare this Krishna consciousness life is. That anybody, after many lifetimes, after millions of lifetimes of life and death, finally we get a life which we take to Krishna consciousness. One who understands that Bhagavan Sri Krishna is the Supreme Lord of the universe. Krishna says such kind of a devotee of Krishna who is practicing Krishna consciousness is very, very rare. Krishna himself is saying. So we all have to understand that what we are practicing here is something which is very sublime, something which is the topmost. People talk about yoga, but what Prabhupada has given us is Bhakti Yoga, the topmost yoga. and giving this translation. People talk about mindfulness. People talk about meditation, but what we are practicing is mindful mantra meditation. It is the topmost. So like that, everything people talk about Vedas and Upanishad, but here, Krishna, we have Bhagavad Gita, which is giving the secrets of the Vedas. Iti guhyam tamam sastram idam uktam maya naga. Etad buddha buddhimansat krita krityasya bharata. Bhagavan Sri Krishna is saying, Arjuna, you don't need to read the whole of Vedas. The most confidential secrets of the Vedas I'm giving you in this through Bhagavad Gita. So we have to understand that everything Krishna, this subtle body, whatever we are practicing, that gets into anything that we practice spiritually in Krishna consciousness goes into our Lakshmi Narayan account. Just like how we have a NatWest account and something like that. Similarly, whatever we do spiritually goes into our Lakshmi Narayan account. And that account gets carried forward into our next life. And wherever we stop, from there we will carry on. And that's the reason why we find devotees of immense caliber, where at a young age people are picking up so nicely because they're just picking up from where they left off in the previous life. So this contact of the living entity with the material manifest is neither integration or disintegration. My dear chaste sister-in-law, the spirit soul is of course the cause of this material body, just as the sun is cause of the sunlight and eyesight in the forms of the material manifestation. Yata prakashayate ekaha krishnam ekam. Krishna Bhagavan says, just as the sun illuminates the entire universe by the sun rays, similarly, this whole body is illuminated with consciousness because there is a soul within inside. Yata prakashayate ekaha. So just as the sun illuminates this entire universe with the sunlight, similarly, because there is a presence of soul in the body, it's illuminating this entire body with consciousness. That's the reason why any part of the body, if somebody pinches you, immediately you will feel that, because the consciousness is spread throughout the body because of the presence of the sun, presence of the Atma. The example of the sunshine and the material manifestation is very appropriate in understanding the living entity's contact with the material world. In the morning, the sun rises, the heat and the light gradually expands throughout the whole day. The sun is the cause of the material forms, shapes, and form, for it is due to the sun that integration and disintegration of material elements takes place. But as soon as the sun sets, the whole manifestation is no longer connected to the sun, which has passed from one place to another. When the sun passes from the eastern to the western hemisphere, the results of the interaction is due to the sunshine in the eastern hemisphere remain, but the sunshine itself is visible in the western hemisphere. Similarly, the living entity accepts or produces different bodies and different bodily relationships in a particular circumstance. But as soon as he gives up the present body and accepts another, he has nothing to do with the former body. Similarly, the living entity has nothing to do with the next body he accepts. He is always free from the contact of this bodily contamination. Therefore, continued Balaram, the appearance and disappearance of the body has nothing to do with the living entity. Just like as the waxing and the waning of the moon have nothing to do with the moon. When the moon waxes, we falsely think that the moon is developing, and when it wanes, we think the moon is decreasing. Factually, the moon as it is always remains the same. It has nothing to do with such visible activities of waxing and waning. So the beauty about Krishna Katha and the beauty of Prabhupada's explanation was Prabhupada has given wonderful analogies for us to understand, drive the point, where he's comparing here with the sun as well. So we can understand, right, how when the presence of the sun is there, as the sun keeps moving from different places in the planet to another part of the world, and how the whole life, right, everything, the life energy, everything is just how it just gets transformed. Like in the Western world, we see like how much of sunlight do we get over here. And the presence of sun makes so much of a difference, isn't it? How the bodies keep changing. Last week, I happened to lose my best friend's mother who passed away, and I knew her from childhood, and I was feeling so terrible about that. Like, someone whom I knew these years, and she's no more kind of thing. But then reading through Bhagavad Gita gave me some solace, some comfort, because Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, Nainam chindanti sastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha, nachanam kledayanchapo, nasoshayati maritaha. The Atma, nobody can, the Atma, for the Atma, there's no birth or death in any time, right? No fire can burn the Atma, no water can wither it. So the Atma is something which is pure and never existing. Na jayate mriyate va kadachin nayam bhutva bhavitana bhuyaha ajo nityaha shashvato yam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire. For the Atma, there is no birth or death at any time. He does not come into being. Just like this body, when the body comes into being, we celebrate a birthday because it's a birthday for the body only. But for the Atma, there is nothing called birthday because this Atma has been existing ever since Paramatma has been there. So Paramatma has always been existing. So Atma has always been existing. So when you think about that, and also the fact that where Krishna explains this transmigration very clearly in Bhagavad Gita, Na jayate mriyate va kadachin nayam bhutva bhavitana bhuyaha ajo nityaha shashvato yam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire. For the Atma, there is no death or at any time, birth or death at any time. He does not come into being, does not come into being. So Krishna is constantly talking about transmigration of the soul. Also, Arjuna, do not think that this is the only time, because in today's material world, people think that there is only one life, let's go and enjoy it. But through Bhagavad Gita, we get to know that this life is only just one chapter in this entire book. We're going to have many, many lives, right? Natvevaham jatu nasam natvam neme janadipa na chaiva na bhavishyamaha sarve vayamataha param. So Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, all these people you're seeing on this battlefield, they had many, many lives before this, and in the future also they're going to have many lives. Arjuna, this is not the only life. That's so Bhagavad Gita, what it gives you is it gives you wisdom, it gives you realization, it gives you mental strength. Because yesterday I was just reading in the paper that even there were MPs in the parliament, in UK parliament also, who were actually contemplating, there were some of the MPs who couldn't take the pressures, they were even contemplating committing suicide. Can you believe it? And this was actually mentioned yesterday, and I was reading the paper and I was thinking, oh my God, look at that. So because people are not able to take so much of tensions in this material world, they're looking for some solace. But if we take to our spirituality, if we take to Krishna Bhakti, it gives you so much of comfort because we are getting knowledge. Why we suffer and why we think of contemplating about that kind of a things like want to take it, because of ignorance, because of lack of spiritual knowledge. So what we need in this material world is not artificial intelligence. We need spiritual intelligence to rise up, and which is what Krishna is giving in Bhagavad Gita. He's giving us this Evam Buddha, Param Buddha, Samstabhyatmanam Atva. With spiritual intelligence, Arjuna, you should conquer this enemy known as lust. So that's what Krishna is saying. So Lord Balram is continuing over here. One's consciousness in material existence can be compared to sleeping and dreaming. When a man sleeps, he dreams of many non-factual happenings, and as a result of dreaming, he becomes subjected to different kind of distress and happiness. Similarly, when a person is in the dream of material consciousness, which is what we are, right? We are in the material consciousness. He suffers the effects of accepting a body and giving it up in the material existence. Opposite to this material consciousness is Krishna consciousness. In other words, when a man is elevated to the platform of Krishna consciousness, he becomes free from the false conceptions of life. So a Krishna consciousness person is always thinking that when suffering is going to come, Krishna thinks like, okay, maybe I'm supposed to suffer much more than this, but Krishna has given me this for me to realize this and move on, kind of thing. So life is all about our attitude and all about our perspective. So Krishna consciousness person, it always takes it as a mercy of Krishna. And second thing, he also understands that all these things are at a bodily platform. I'm a spirit soul. Aham Brahmasmi. So I'm more than this. And also when we understand that I am actually a part and parcel of the Supreme. So when we understand this higher reality that we have a much, much identity, that I'm not this material body, I'm not an Indian, I'm not an American, but I am a son of the Supreme Lord of the universe. When you have that, you will have all this kind of the higher consciousness where we'll be able to surpass all these prakriya, all these the gunas or the problems that we're facing in this moment. Daiviha yesha guna maya mama maya duratya. Krishna says right in Bhagavad Gita, so that my devotees, they can overcome all these, the prakriti, the gunas and all these things. Only a devotee of Krishna can overcome. So in this way, Sri Balaram instructed Rukmini in spiritual knowledge. He further advised his sister-in-law, sweet smiling Rukmini, do not be aggrieved by false notion caused by ignorance. Only because of false notion does one become unhappy. But one can immediately remove this unhappiness by discussing the philosophy of actual life. Be happy on that platform only. Such a beautiful message, isn't it? So because Rukmini is actually kind of like quite quite nervous that Krishna is going to kill him. So he's kind of like, she's praying to Krishna, and please spare my brother, please don't kill my brother. So Balaram's instructions to Rukmini is that she's got a brother, but he's not worthy of having such a wonderful sister. And second thing is also not to be greed, because most of the time these grievances in our material world is because of our lack of ignorance, because of ignorance that we are having, because we do not understand, because many times we blame ourselves. Why is this happening only to me? Why is I'm the only one who's suffering? But we have to understand that in this material world, everybody is suffering. And because when we go to eye clinic, we call it as Netralayam, right? Alayam means a place, right? When you say Netralayam, it's a place for eye clinic. So similarly, Krishna calls it as Dukkhalayam, which is a place of suffering. Because so it is irrespective of whoever, it's just like a degree of suffering that's changing. Some people think like they're suffering more, some people are suffering less because of their karmic thing. So, or to get a relief from all these things, the one and only solution is Krishna consciousness. Because as we tap in Krishna consciousness, like how we are doing in this month of Kartik, as we keep lighting this beautiful diya for Krishna, it's like burning away all the bad karma that we have in our life. We're burning away all this prarabdha karma, all this bad karma that we are burning in our life, but just by lighting the candle. So it's just not for lighting the candle for Krishna, but as we keep lighting the candle for Krishna, Krishna is lighting inside our heart, because he's lighting and removing all the ignorance within our heart. So the more we keep on putting this beautiful diya for Krishna, Krishna is immediately reciprocating by removing all the anarthas that we have accumulated in our body, because Krishna is sitting in everyone's heart. Sarvasya chaham hriti sannavisto matasmitir jnanam apohanam. I'm seated in everyone's heart. So he can understand our feelings. He can understand what we are going through. So we do not need to despair about it. Krishna is there to burn down all our things. After hearing such enlightened instruction from Balaram, Rukmini immediately became pacified and happy and adjusted her mind, which was very much afflicted by the degraded position of her brother Rukmi. As far as Rukmi was concerned, his promise was not fulfilled, nor was his mission successful. Why? Because Rukmi had told before leaving Kundini that I am going to chase Krishna, I'm going to defeat Krishna. What does he think? That Yadava boy, he is going to defeat me? I will show him about Kshatriya spirit and all. So now he has realized that Krishna is showing mercy and that he was not able to fulfill his promise when he told that I'm not going to come back if I don't bring, defeat Krishna. So here he had come home with his soldiers and military planning to defeat Krishna and release his sister. But on the contrary, he lost all his soldiers and military strength. And he was personally degraded and very sorry. But by the grace of the Lord, he could continue his life to his fixed destination. Because he was a Kshatriya, he could remember his promise that he would not return to his capital city, Kundini, without killing Krishna and releasing his sister, which he failed to do so. Therefore, he decided in anger not to return to his capital city, and he constructed a small cottage in the village called Bojakata, where he resided for the rest of his life. So you see, in those days, whether in whatever side, there is a certain Kshatriya spirit that is, because he's given a word that he's not going to give back. So he's decided that because now he's in a position where Krishna is literally pardoning him, right? Pardoning Rukmi. So he decided that, okay, I'm not going to go back. He's going to just set up a small cottage and just going to be there in a village. So this is the days of the Vedic culture, but these days, I think, like in today's material world is a different situation, isn't it? But the good part is that, we see this whole Vedic culture that Lord Balaram is explaining the spiritual knowledge to Rukmini, and Rukmini is accepting this knowledge and kind of like pacifying herself, because Rukmini has gone through a roller coaster ride, isn't it? Because first of all, she was very nervous that she's going to get married to Shishpal. Then she writes this letter, sends the Brahmin. Now she's very tense whether Krishna is going to come back or not. And finally, Krishna comes and picks her up and takes her in the chariot. Now she's relieved. And then again, a tension comes. She's very happy that Krishna came and picked her up. But again, now she's worried that Krishna is going to kill his brother. Now Krishna has saved him. So now again, she's pacified. So she was going to a roller coaster of emotions. She's happy on one end, she's nervous on one end, and now she's pacified on the other end. So it is very important. So one of the things we can see also from this is that we should have an open mind, because in today's world, I see many times when devotees explain about spirituality and all that, people in the material world, they want answers for all kind of questions, and they have all logical, they try to understand everything from a logical point of view. They want answer from a logical point of view. But spiritual knowledge is something which is not something which you can get from a logical explanation. It is like as you keep practicing Krishna consciousness by chanting, by reading Krishna Katha, the knowledge gets revealed to you. So like even Bhagavad Gita, you can't just read it, like, mug it up like a material subject. It's only when you keep on reading, Krishna showing his mercy, he reveals himself in Bhagavad Gita. Just like when his mother, Yashoda, was trying to tie him down, she found out that no matter how much she's trying to tie him down, till it is shot by two fingers. First finger is our endeavor, and second finger is Krishna's mercy. And finally, Krishna agreed to be tied. So like that, when Krishna sees our sincere endeavor that he's trying to understand Bhagavad Gita, slowly he starts revealing himself through Bhagavad Gita. So that's the reason why people keep scratching their head why I can't understand Bhagavad Gita, because you have to be first a devotee of Krishna. First, you have to chant the holy names of Krishna. When you have to practice Krishna consciousness, as you keep serving Krishna, Krishna keeps revealing. That's why it is said, Ye yatamam prapajyante tam stataiva bhajamiham. And after, I just wanted to quickly cover this so that we can, because we are almost come to the end of this chapter. With your permission, I'll just cover of these 2-3 paragraphs. So after this marriage, after defeating all the opposing elements and forcibly carrying Rukmini, Krishna brought her to his capital city, Dwaraka, and then married her according to the Vedic ritualistic principles. After this marriage, Krishna became the king of Yadus at Dwaraka. On the occasion of his marriage, Rukmini, all the inhabitants were very happy. And in every house, there were great ceremonies. The inhabitants of Dwaraka city were so much pleased that they dressed themselves with the nicest possible ornaments and garments and went to present gifts according to the means to the newly married couple, Krishna and Rukmini. So can we imagine bringing to light in today's world itself, when you go to a rich person's marriage, there's so much of opulence and gold and everybody dressing up. Can you imagine in those days of Dwaraka time and the time of Dwapara Yuga, how rich people were in those days and how opulent they were at that time? And all the houses of Yadupuri were decorated with flags, festoons, and flowers. And each and every house had an extra gate especially prepared for this occasion. And on both sides of the gate were big water jugs filled with water. The whole city was made fragrant by the burning of the fine incense. And at night, there was illumination from thousands of lamps which decorated every building. So you can imagine how joyful the whole place is, right? How many times do we get very excited when a politician gets married or a leader gets married? Because there is nothing like that, right? In today's material world, we don't even trust our leader. We don't trade because they were not of a proper character. But you can see in those days when Krishna is taking Rukmini to Dwaraka and they get married over there and the whole city is rejoicing, right? And so the kind, you can imagine how much of love they had for Krishna, and they were so happy that Krishna is now got married to Rukmini. The entire city celebrated jubilant on the occasion of Krishna's marriage with Rukmini. Everyone in the city were profuse. There were profuse decorations of banana trees and betel nut trees. This is the practice in India even today, isn't it? When there's a happy occasion, we tie with banana trees. These two trees were considered very auspicious in happy ceremonies. And at the same time, there was an assembly of many elephants who carried the respective kings of different friendly kingdoms. It is the habit of the elephant that whenever he sees some small plants and trees, out of his sportive and frivolous nature, he uproots the tree and throws them hither and thither. The elephants assembled on this occasion also scattered the banana and betel nut trees. But in spite of such intoxicated action, the whole city of Dwaraka, with the trees thrown there and here, looked very, very nice. The friendly kings of the Kurus and the Pandavas were represented by Bhishma, Dhritarashtra, the 5 Pandava brothers, King Drupada, King Santardhan, and Rukmini's father Bhishmaka. Because of Krishna kidnapping Rukmini, there were initially some misunderstanding between the two families, but Bhishmaka, the king of Vidarbha, being approached by Sri Balaram and persuaded by many saintly persons, was induced to participate in the marriage ceremony of Krishna and Rukmini. Because we had to remember Bhishmaka is the father of Rukmini. And when Krishna and Balaram went out there to Kundini, he's the one, Bhishmaka has actually received them very nicely because he was a great host and received all the princes and even received even Krishna and Balarama as well. Now the tables have turned the other side. Now Krishna has taken Rukmini on the chariot and gone back to Dwaraka. Now Bhishmaka had come over there. Because, like in those days, in today's world, there's no proper mediators and people who pacify and things like that. But in those days, we had rishis, so very saintly people who used to advise the kings. So they would have advised, Bhishmaka, like, what are you talking about? Your son-in-law is the king of Dwaraka, So having been pacified, now they have even he has come out there. And although the incidents of kidnapping was not a very happy occurrence in the kingdom of Vidarbha, kidnapping was not an unusual affair among Kshatriya. So we can understand in those Vedic culture, we see in that different types of marriages. One was like a Rakshasa thing, so it was very quite common at that point of time. It's kind of like a valiers, kind of like showing for the Kshatriyas, like how they could do that. And so King Bhishmaka was from the very beginning inclined to hand over his daughter to Krishna. So we can understand, right? So only Rukmini's brother, Rukmi, he was not interested. He thought like Shishupal was a better match for my sister. We all have that in our families, isn't it? Sometimes we feel we have our own opinions. We think, you know what, I think that person is better suited for my sister than this person. So we all have our own impressions, isn't it? So like that, even Rukmini was talking. But a father, Bhishmaka, which Rukmini's father, he was actually keen on giving it to Krishna, but he was held back because of his son. He had to just sail along because of his son. And kidnapping was current in almost all their marriages. Anyways, King Bhishmaka was very well. He was very, in one way or the another, his purpose has been served. So in any way, Bhishmaka, this is what he wanted. So it happened. And so he was pleased to join the marriage ceremony, even though his eldest son was degraded in the fight. It is mentioned in the Padma Purana that Maharaja Nanda and the cowherd boys of Vrindavan joined the marriage ceremony. So you can imagine such a beautiful sight, isn't it? You had the Pandavas, you had the Dhritarashtra, not about just Dhritarashtra, but Bhishma, and all of them have come out there to celebrate the marriage of Krishna and Rukmini. And kings from the kingdom of Kuru, Srinjaya, Kekaya, Vidarbha, and Kunti all came to Dwarka on the occasion and met with one another very joyfully. So at that time, it happens, isn't it? In India also, we see that big families, maybe they don't get along with each other because of wealth and things like that, because of, like who's going to get a bigger share and all that. But you find that when there is a marriage ceremony, everybody is attending, even though they keep the differences aside and they attend the marriages, isn't it? Even though they may not get along with each other. So similarly here, maybe Pandavas and Kauravas maybe not be able to get along, but when you have a marriage occasion like that of a third, like it's happening in Dwarka and it's happening in, for Krishna. So they just came and participated in that. So the story of Rukmini being kidnapped by Krishna was poetized and professional readers recited it everywhere. All the assembled king and the daughters especially were struck with wonder and very much pleased upon hearing the chivalrous activities of Krishna. In this way, all the visitors as well as the inhabitants of Dwarka city were joyful to see Krishna and Rukmini together. In other words, the goddess of fortune was now united with the Supreme Lord, the maintainer of everyone, and thus all the people felt extremely jubilant. So we can see that whenever you had the goddess's fortune joining with the Supreme Lord, there's always going to be jubilance and there's always going to be joyfulness over there. So this is the end of this beautiful chapter of Krishna taking away Rukmini and going to Dwarka and enjoying this celebration. And so this chapter is ended on a beautiful note. It started with action, Krishna going to Kundini, picking up Rukmini and being chased by Jarasandha, followed by Shishupal, followed by Rukmi, and all of them were defeated. So this is what we have to understand. It's not only Krishna, but Krishna's army also were able to go and defeat anyone because they were all empowered by Krishna. And anybody who is fighting for Krishna, if they die in the battlefield also, they directly get to the highest spiritual planets, which no other god can give this benediction. So this comes to the end. Krishna defeats all the princes and takes Rukmini home to Dwarka. Hare Krishna. So I just want to stop over here and any realizations, anything that you can, corrections, anything that you can hear from our devotees, that will be wonderful. And sorry, I had just taken about a few minutes more, but it's just the excitement and the joy that we had to not let the conclude this nectar of this chapter. So I thought we wanted to end this by talking about Krishna reaching.
So beautiful, beautiful Krishna Katha.
Krishna Katha.
Wow. Really, today is very nice. Listening, continue. And continue, carry on whole night.
Prabhuji, in the association of such wonderful devotees, all for all the devotees, let me tell you, Vrindavan Das Prabhu is Brajavasi, who's from Vrindavan. And this is our fortune, actually, that we have someone like a Brajavasi from Vrindavan and being part of the Sangha and listening and giving us the support and also singing bhajans at times. What more can we ask for? This is divine association, and in front of Radha Gokulananda here and devotees association.
Sivishna.
Yeah, and Vrindavan Das Prabhu does amazing service in Soho Temple. I did not even know till last week that he even makes the Mangalarti sweets as well, and cooks for Krishna and serves Krishna so beautifully. And he was, in spite of having a function last Saturday, he went from there to Soho Temple and serving Krishna. So Prabhuji,
that is my duty. That is my duty.
Yes, Prabhuji, but we need inspiration, and you are an inspiration. Thank you.
Every Saturday, my duty.
Krishna chooses. We can't. These things don't come on a lap. It's just Krishna chooses.
No, but it's very nice. Krishna Katha today. I very enjoyed exactly your Krishna Katha. Oh, so nice.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So I always feel inspired when I have wonderful devotees. Sanchit Murthy, Hare Krishna. Ashwin Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining us. Sara Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Anything anyone wants to add to this? Sorry, if any mistakes also, please, I'm ready for correction.
No, nothing, any mistake.
No mistakes, Prabhuji. Always new knowledge, new learning.
Yes. And also
giving incredible. Yeah, telling the story is incredible, Prabhuji, because I go to different things as well, but nobody gives a story in such a nectar form. So I'm very grateful that I got this group. I understood. It's really great. And I was in London last week for some other things as well. I went to ISKCON again, and Mataji was distributing books. So at last I got my storybook.
Oh, wonderful. Very nice. Some or the other, the Krishna book has to land in our lives.
Yes, Prabhuji. I was not expecting, but I was like, okay, I will take, no worries. I will start, at least not. Whenever I open my laptop, I will be doing my job applications or any other work.
Yes.
I have the Veda base, but I never go there. So I'm like, if book is there, okay, in front of me, it will give me a guilty feeling that I'm not at least reading the book.
Yes, definitely. The Prabhu, the thing is, book distribution also, why they do book distribution is we think we are giving the book distribution. It's a mercy of Krishna that's going there, and finally it will be there. Maybe again, it will reach out to the right people at the right time. When somebody is really looking for solution, when really looking for happiness, then they will take that book. Maybe lying on the shelf for a long time, but when the time comes, the book will be picked up and you will read the book. So it's a long-term plan actually. The Krishna consciousness is not a short-term one. It is something which is, very live, very dynamic. Like as I said, it's very dynamic. It's the solution is forever. So whatever we buy, it stays with us, and it will be with us for a while, for a long time.
Definitely.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Jagan Mohan Prabhu is showing a beautiful. Yeah. So I just want to thank and
since last week I wanted to share this. Before that, the meeting got closed, Prabhuji.
Okay.
I felt like sharing this experience that came to me when during the lecture, Varaha Sharama Shloka, where Swami Narayana, Varaha Narayana speaks to Gota Mata. Aham smarami mat bhaktam. Right? At the last moment of a soul, when it is about to depart, to get the smarana of Narayana is almost impossible. So for such people who have surrendered himself or herself to me, it is my duty. I keep on remembering until when he is about to breathe his last, I go and acquire him. He is mine, so I rightfully acquire him. So this aham smarami mad bhaktam, right? He is thinking of us. So this has been ringing in my mind since whole of last week. It was going on in my mind. I was in fact telling one of our colleagues also. So today I felt like sharing this along with the picture
Absolutely.
to all of us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Devotees are for inspiring and supporting each other, and we all need that beautiful inspiration. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, right? Ye yata mam prapajyante tam stataiva bhajami. According to your level of surrender, I am also reciprocating. So throughout our life, when we dedicate our lives for Krishna, Krishna says, I also reciprocate. And at the end of your life, if you can't remember, I will remember you and take you back. In fact, I was telling you one of the names of Krishna in Vishnu Sahasranama, one of the name of Krishna is Gavasti Nemi. Gavasti Nemi means Krishna holds the Sudarshana Chakra in his finger that to warn the Yamaraj that don't even look at my devotees because I am always protecting my devotees, to protect his devotees with the Sudarshana Chakra. So Krishna is not only holding a flute, also holding a Sudarshana Chakra also to protect his devotees when the time comes. So that we are
all his belongings, his conquest.
Absolutely.
All the times.
Absolutely. So it is
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Mercy of Prabhuji. Thank you so much for that. Yeah. So I mean, I'm just being again respectful for everybody's time. I know that again tomorrow morning everyone has to go back to jobs, and I really want to thank humble thanks to everyone for giving your precious time. It is so valuable and it's not so easy juggling so many things and still attending Krishna Katha is not easy, but still it's just Krishna's mercy and how nicely our devotees are practicing and managing things, still to attend this Krishna Katha. Sanchit Mataji, thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Yeah, I was just listening as Vrindavan Prabhu mentioned. It's like, it's if you visualize it in like material terms, it's like a movie, Hindi Bollywood movies we used to watch earlier, like all the drama this marriage with Rukmini Krishna had, like it had like kidnapping and then fight and then finally more drama and then finally settling for the beautiful marriage. So it was like a little analogy, but it was very nice. And the way you read it and explain it with reference to Bhagavad Gita, Mahabharata, it's so blissful. So I mean, sometimes we listen and we enjoy the nectar and we don't have much to say, but thank you so much for let's all please say 3 loud Haribols to Prabhu for this wonderful service.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Thank you so much. Vanchakalpatarubhyasya
Hari
kripasindhu
Bol.
Sindhu Bhayavacha Patitanam
Pavanebhyo
Nanta Vaishnav
Ki Jai.
Jai.
Prabhupada ki Jai.
Jai.
Everyone, Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sam Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Kartik Damodar ki jai.
Jai.
Last day tomorrow.
Hare
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.